Hey everybody, it's Shadowstar and Crystal here for another Arrow review. This time it's 11:59.
Time of death.
The one we've all been waiting for, the episode that broke the fandom in half. So, we'll come back to the beginning, but let's talk about obviously the elephant in the room. This is an episode which utterly destroyed some fans. Some people say this is one of the worst parts of Season 4. I wholeheartedly disagree. I'll get into more and many of the reasons why I'm not so opposed to the death of Laurel, but some people say the death of Laurel was the biggest mistake in the show. Now don't get me wrong, I don't hate her now as much as I did in Season 1 and 2 and 3 and Summer 4, but, you know, she's not a vital character. Yes, I understand. In the comics, Laurel is a major character and Oliver's love interest, but in Arrow, she is not, despite what her death words may have said. She is not his love interest, and while she's a major character, she's not been as vital. If anyone was going to die, who else would you expect? Diggle? Thea? No, of course it's Laurel. I'm sorry. And as we get into later in the seasons, as much as some people are disappointed, the death of Laurel opens up so many better plot lines going forward. But we'll get into those later on. But anyway, enough about the fans being utterly insane about this episode. Let's talk about the episode itself. Obviously, we pick up with the cliffhanger with Andy, and we have the whole thing of do we trust Andy or not. And this time, see, usually it's a whole game of Oliver doesn't trust people. But for once, Oliver's right.
Yeah.
Usually whenever Oliver does this thing, it's the other way round.
Yeah.
But this time it's Andy, and this time Oliver was right. Which will just make things more interesting with what happened, as you could see at the end with Diggle.
Damien was lucky to have Andy, because if he didn't have him to give him the piece, then he would have been screwed.
Well, that's the thing. He had Andy the whole time. He's always been a member of Hive, so he's had Andy from the start.
Yeah, he's been tracking Diggle's movements to the point where once he knew that he was the one who hid it, he somehow knew where he hid it.
I mean, the thing I was thinking is, way back in whatever an episode it was when we first found Andy, what if Andy already had suspicions about Diggle being that guy and let himself get caught? What if he was playing the mole the entire time? What if he didn't accidentally get caught?
Maybe.
That's the only that would make even more sense. But obviously, we do have this side plot of Laurel's going to be the new DA for Mayor Rouvet, which, of course, as soon as she says, oh, one last time, you can see, well, now we know where this episode's going. Anytime somebody says that. But yeah, obviously, you know, and of course you could, if it wasn't even more obvious, they shoehorn Laurel into the flashbacks, even though Oliver hadn't spoken about her in a while.
Yeah.
Not much happened, but of course they had to shoehorn her in. But yeah, we got a lot of scenes with Malcolm and Thea again. Anytime they fight is always a fun scene to watch. The prison fight scenes were really fun to watch as well. But then, of course, it all comes crashing down when Damien gets the stuff back. But hey, it's Damien, you've got to love a villain, and what did you expect? There's still like 5 episodes left. Did you expect him not to get his magic back?
Surprised he didn't kill everyone.
Why didn't he kill everyone?
Yeah.
He could have choked all of them right there and then. Oh well. But the ending. Okay. While fans, whether you hate or love the death of Laurel, the actual death of Laurel is a really well done moment.
Oh yeah, I love how just from seeing Oliver there, he knew. Quentin knew.
That's the thing I always say is when it comes to deaths of characters, it's never the character that gets me. It's always somebody else. It's usually like when somebody else gets the news. In this case, it's Quentin. In another case, it'll be somebody else. But in this case, that's the thing. I'm watching. It's like, all right, it's kind of sad. The moment Quentin shows up, that's when it hits me. That's when the emotion starts to hit me when you see Quentin. And that's basically the ending we leave on too. We leave on that note. We don't go anywhere. I think the only criticism people have always given the death of Laurel, I mean outside of the controversy, but the actual scene, is some people find Felicity's acting to be slightly annoying. That moment where Laurel dies. Like, you know, I prefer the stunned silence of Diggle and Thea and all that, but Felicity, I can understand why some people got annoyed at that. But, yeah. But I suppose this episode also does introduce, or not introduce, but kind of, we've seen that Doctor before, but now we see that Doctor again, and that's a Doctor like, the way, you know, the fact that she doesn't report the Green Arrow or anything, and she actually gives him a chance to get away. Yeah, so that's something. But other than that, there's not much to talk about. Obviously, we're going to pick up with this next episode. But yeah, this is an episode we've all been waiting for. It's an episode that some fans just say is the worst part of season 4. To me, the Felicity drama is what drags down season 4. I'm fine with Damien as a villain. I'm very fine with the death of Laurel because 1, it was an emotional scene. 2, without Laurel's death, we wouldn't get things that are going to happen in later seasons. And it's a way better trade-off, trust me. Let's recap. I know I haven't been harsh on Laurel, but if you remember, I was harsh on her in season 1, where she was just an annoying... And I've seen other people hate her in season 1. She's just an annoying soap opera character. Then she becomes a self-obsessed, annoying alcoholic in season 2. Then she becomes somebody who's just an annoying emo person when Sarah dies, and she's just a horrible vigilante. And then in season 4... there's nothing. She's just a boring plot. She's just a boring character with no plot until this episode. This episode is about the only decent thing that's happened to Laurel in terms of plot. So yes, in case you've forgotten, or in case you haven't been watching our older reviews, I was never that fond of Laurel. And you might think, oh, see, you stuffed on Laurel. No, Laurel just hasn't done anything to piss me off, but she's not a character I'm saying, yay, a Laurel scene. You know, I might say, if you want proof that I can improve on characters, look at Thea. She was horrible in season 1 and 2, and look at Thea in 4, and I love her. Yeah. That's how you improve a character. But Laurel, oh well, she's gone. But enough about that. I suppose, is there any other bits you remembered or wanted to point out?
No.
Well, I'm, despite the controversy, going to give this an 8.5.
Yeah, I'll go 8.
You've got to give it to the emotion at the end. The prison fight scene, Malcolm versus Thea, great. Prison fight scenes, great. The emotion at the end, really great. Only criticism is, of course, the flashbacks and some of the drama. But in this case, as much as I hate the Andy drama, I kind of like it for once because Oliver's right and it's kind of going to go somewhere more interesting with Diggle. But enough about that. What is the next episode called?
Canary Cry.
Well, obviously, we know what we're going to be picking up with. But,
yeah, of course.
But I remember one thing about the next episode I hate, but we'll worry about that next time. We'll see you next time for more Arrow and other things as well.
See you next time, guys.